Good day, everyone. In this presentation, I am going to discuss the continental drift theory and the evidences that supports this theory. The hypothesis that continents drift was first put forward in the year 1596 by Abraham Ortelius, a Flemish cartographer, and later on, it was fully developed by Alfred Wegener in the year 1912. Okay, so Wegener is a geophysicist and meteorologist. By the year 1915, Wegener published a book entitled The Origin of the Continents and the Ocean. These books explain his theory that continental land masses were drifting across the earth and sometimes flowing through the oceans and into each other. He is also convinced that all Earth's continents were once part of enormous single land mass called the Pangaea. According to the Book of Wegener, 245 million years ago, Pangaea existed when some of the earliest dinosaurs were roaming the earth. It was surrounded by a sea called the Pantalassa, which mean the all sea. And around 180 million years ago, gradually Pangaea broke into two big pieces. The northern piece, which is called the Laurasia, and the southern piece is called the Gondwana or the Gondwana land. And during the last 65 million years ago, by the time dinosaurs become extinct, Laurasia and Gondwana had split into smaller pieces, leaving the 7 continents we have today. And lastly, Pangaea means all land. Okay, so now let's move on for the evidences of continental drift theory. First evidence is the topographic or geological fit evidence. Okay, so it is the matching or large-scale geological features on different continents. The best example here is the coastline of South America and Africa. This continent seems to fit together like a puzzle. Next is, we have the sequence of the rock or the rock formation. Okay, so huge belts of rocks were found in Africa and South America were identical. Not only they were the same, but they were matched up in the age, thickness, and type of rocks as if they were put up together. Another example are the rocks from Argentina were identical to those found in South Africa. Another evidence is we have here the glacier evidence. Okay, so there is a proof that glaciers move from Africa through the Atlantic Ocean and then on towards the South America. Okay, so as you can see, the glaciers in Antarctica seems to fit to the glaciers located or found in Australia, India, Africa, and South America. For the next evidence, we have the fossil correlation. Okay, so matching fossils preserved in rocks of the same age but found on different continents. There are various examples of fossils found on separate continents and in no other region. This indicates that these continents had to be once joined together because the extensive oceans between these land masses act as a type of barrier for fossil to transfer. The first type of fossil is we have the Mesosaurus. Okay, so this Mesosaurus is known to have been a type of reptile similar to the modern crocodile. Okay, so it propelled itself through the water with its long hind legs and limber tail. It lived during the early Permian period, around 286 to 258 million years ago, and its remains were found solely in South Africa and eastern South of America. Another fossil is, we have here the Cynognathus, okay? This Cynognathus was a mammal-like reptile, and it roams in the earth during the Triassic period around 250 to 240 million years ago. This Cynognathus was as large as the modern wolf. And lastly, its fossils were found only in South Africa and South America. Next is, we have the Lystrosaurus. Okay, so this Lystrosaurus, which translate to a shovel reptile, is thought to have been an herbivores with a snout built like a pig. Okay, so it is approximated that it grew up to a 1 meter in length and was relatively dominant on land during the early Triassic period, around 250 million years ago. Okay, so the fossils of Lystrosaurus were only found in Antarctica, India, and South Africa. Okay, so similar to the land-dwelling Cynognathus, and the Lystrosaurus would have not swim or has not swimming capacity to travel any ocean. That is why it is concluded that the continents were once joined together. And last fossil is, we have the Glossopteris. Glossopteris is known to be a plant fossil. It is known as a woody seed-bearing tree, and it is named after the Greek description for a tongue due to its tongue-shaped leaves, and it is the largest genus of the extinct descendant of seed ferns. These plant fossils existed during the Permian period around 299 million years ago and became the dominant land plant species until the end of Permian period. Okay, so the Glossopteris fossil is found in Australia, Antarctica, India, South Africa, and South America. And for the less evidence, we have the glacial deposits. Okay, so more evidence came from the glacial striations. So these are scratches of the bedrocks made by blocks of rock embedded in ice as the glacier moves. These show the direction of the glacier and suggest that ice flowed from a single central point. Okay, so these ice sheets were found in places that have hot or that has hot temperatures. And to sum it up, the continental drift theory was developed by Alfred Wegener in the year 1912, and he believed that the Earth or the continents we have today came from a single landmass called the Pangaea. The evidences that support the continental drift theories are the topographic evidences or geological fit, the rock formation, the fossils, such as the Mesosaurus, Cynognathus, Lystrosaurus, and the plant fossil known as the Glossopteris.